Let's see. So it looks like we are now live on YouTube. So I want to welcome everyone and say, good afternoon. Welcome to the live pitch day for Reset Volume 5. My name is Ariana Morales, and I'm the program manager at the Marcus Foster Education Institute. Before we move forward, and because we're all virtual, and just to ensure everyone's experience is safe and goes as smoothly as possible, I want to go over just a few quick ground rules and logistics for our time together. Can we move to the next slide? Thank you. And so while we are on Zoom, we're prioritizing everyone's cyber safety in this event. And also while we are on YouTube Live. And so for that reason, everyone when you came in is joining here on Zoom by invitation only. And everyone has also been muted to start. Screen share is disabled for participants. So as we noted earlier, the presentation will be showing from our screen from Marcus Foster. And we'll be moving through, and you'll just let us know as you need us to move from one slide to the next for the teams. Today's session is being recorded, and we are broadcast here live. Please note that recordings may be shared in part or in full online. So another feature to prioritize your safety is safeguarding your identity. So if we can, just to make sure we recognize everyone, but also we're kind of being careful of who's on here. If you can all please change your screen name to your first name and last initial. If you can take a moment to do that now, you can click the participant icon at the bottom of your screen, then click rename, enter your new name in the new screen name field, and click OK. Great, thank you. So moving forward, it's also really important for us that for all of you that can, please use your video. We do want to be able to see and hear you when it's your turn to speak. We also ask that if you are using more than one device for video and then for audio, make sure the volume is muted on your speakers on the device that you are not using audio for. If you call in with your phone for audio, please privately chat and share your name and phone number. So then if we move to breakouts for the judges, I can send your phone also with you. And if you are not presenting and you know you have some background noise happening, please be kind to others and mute yourself. So lastly, just while folks are muted, we do also really want to encourage everyone's engagement. For those of us on Zoom, if you're having any issues, go ahead and use the chat to let us know. A staff member from Marcus Foster will get back to you right away. Let us know also if what you like and boost each other up today. So use the chat, the reactions button at the bottom. You can affirm and uplift, use the thumbs up to second and agree, and definitely chat words of encouragement, questions, and insight. Those on YouTube, we also are really excited to see your comments and words of encouragement as well. For both Zoom and YouTube live comments, they will be monitored to remove anything visually or verbally inappropriate. So now let's get started. We are here at this pitch day for Reset Volume 5 to hear from our amazing scholars and the inspiring ideation work that they did together in teams yesterday to address problems in the world that are most meaningful to them. MFEI is an annual hackathon-style event that every year puts the newest class of Marcus Foster scholars in teams with a professional from the community, in which over the course of a single day of very quick design thinking-based exercises, they develop a social change project proposal to pitch. And here I want to show you our teams. You'll be hearing from them shortly, but these are the central themes that each of the teams started with yesterday, guiding their project development: homelessness, access to basic needs for communities abroad, healthcare access, and diversity and inclusion in STEM. Our teams were also each aided by a series of coaches. So they had team coaches supporting them whose backgrounds match their team ideas, and also skill-based coaches in the areas of communication, tech, and finance to support the teams and the development of their proposals. We are so grateful to all of them. And this year, like the rest of the world, we were also tasked to somehow transform what is usually a day-long in-person experience into a very condensed virtual one. And somehow, by amazing magic, we definitely did it. I know that my MFEI team and I were blown away with the level of ideation and readiness from the teams and their coaches while we're all on Zoom yesterday. Across the 2 Zoom sessions, everyone went through an intense series of exercises, as I mentioned, guiding everyone through thinking about the problem, defining the target for change, and creating a plan to test it. And now today, we're going to hear from each of our teams. Once the teams present, the judges will be moved to a breakout to deliberate, and then at 3:30, they'll come back to announce the winner. The judges will also be listening and scoring each team based on 4 key areas: the innovative impact of the project, how well the change is tied to the problem that they started with, the test plan and its feasibility, and the team's show of collaboration. We also know that this was a really very quick-paced experience for the students that is traditionally done over a series of days or even months at a time in real-world settings. And so we really want to recognize that no matter the outcome, we hope that this was a fun and new way for everyone to build community, to learn new tools for giving back to your communities, and to be able to network with knowledgeable professionals in the field. That said, because this is a hackathon-style event, you also can't have a hackathon without prizes. So our team members of the winning team today will be receiving each $200 Amazon gift cards. So lastly, while we're on Zoom, or if you are watching the live stream, I really want to encourage everyone to share your experience with Reset and today's pitch day. We'd love to see your posts and stories with hashtag Reset Volume 5 and MFEI Scholar 2020 tagging Marcus Foster EI. And I also want to thank all of our sponsors. Reset would not be possible each year without them. So our gratitude goes out to the Each Foundation and California Bank and Trust. And now I would like to introduce everyone to our judges who come to us today from fields where in their professions, they've made or make real decisions or provide advisement on funding innovative concepts, policy proposals, or business ideas. So just going in order from left to right, I would like to ask each of our guest judges to unmute yourselves. Introduce yourself with your name, your title, affiliation, and one thing that you are looking forward to hearing today.
Hi, I'm Lupe Alonso Diaz. I'm the president and CEO of Physicians for Healthy California, and I am super excited to hear innovative ideas and potentially see how we can take them to fruition. At PHC, we do have a little bit of funding for innovative ideas, so definitely looking forward to execution.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then Joanne.
Hi, everyone. This is Joanne Park. I am a business banking manager for California Bank and Trust. I'm here with my colleague, Mona River. I primarily assist clients for commercial and business lending, as well as portfolio management. And it's my honor to actually participate in this event. I'm really looking to learn and get motivated by everyone. And so thank you so much for letting me participate on this event.
Awesome, thanks, Joanne.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mona Reber, and as Joanne stated, I work closely with Joanne here at California Bank and Trust. I'm currently the branch manager of our Oakland, Maine branch, located right across the street from the Marcus Foster Foundation. Very proud to be here. I was actually at the event decision-making process, judges process last year as someone who was viewing the event results, and I was absolutely blown away by the level of commitment and the bright ideas that each of the teams had. And I was able to actually walk around each of the tables and visit and collaborate and actually spawn off some other ideas with each of the teams and the team leads. So it was very inspirational for me to rejoin today as a judge. We are also a very proud sponsor of this organization, as we have supported what Marcus Foster has been doing throughout the years, and will continue to support that as we're looking for how we can help from a nonprofit organization, as well as collaborate with some of the students and the organization to help them build their great ideas from a financial and banking standpoint. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanna. I'm going to really appreciate you and the whole team at California Bank and Trust. And so now I want to move us to get to our pitching and the judging. So I think we are just about ready to get started. So very quick note about how this is going to work. We do have 4 teams with us today, as I mentioned earlier. I will be queuing up each of the teams by their number from yesterday. Just as a quick note for our audience and for the judges, we don't have a team 2 since yesterday at the start, they didn't have enough students in attendance. And so we'll be going through with team 1, team 3, team 4, and then team 5. Each team will have 3 minutes to present their proposal. After each presentation, the judges will then have 8 minutes for Q&A with that team before we move to the next team. For the pitches, my Marcus Foster colleague, Janasha Higgins, will be giving a 1-minute verbal warning and state the time at the end of the 3 minutes. And then for Q&A, she'll be giving a verbal cue at the 4-minute mark, 1 minute in time. So let's try to, if we can, to keep the time as close as possible so we can end right at 3 o'clock and then move into judge deliberations, and then I'll come back at 3:30. So without further ado, team 1, are we ready? We have your slides, and then are you all able to unmute yourself? Those of you who will be speaking?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And so is it Miriam and anyone else will be speaking from team 1?
Yes, I'll be speaking.
Oh, great. Diamond. Okay. Excellent.
And me, I'm Derica.
Derica. Perfect. Okay. If you're able, we'd love to be able to see you, but if not, go ahead and begin.
So, Derica, do you want to say something?
Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam. Oh, can you go back to the first slide, please? Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam. I'll be attending Howard University, and I'm majoring in biology.
Hi, my name is Diamond. I will be attending Sonoma State University, and I am majoring in biology.
Hi, my name is Derica. I'm going to UCLA, and I'm majoring in environmental science.
And originally we started with 7 people, but only 3 of us were able to work on it. So we all split the roles evenly. And our project name is Bring the Outsiders In. Next slide, please. So our problem statement is, from 2017 to 2019 alone, Oakland's unsheltered population rose by 47% to over 4,000 people, higher than any other San Francisco Bay Area city. Next slide, please. So this is our fishbone. And from our fishbone, we just looked at what the root causes were. So a lot of root causes we noted were mental illness, limited shelter space, rising rent, no jobs, and unaffordable housing. Next slide. So our aim was that we wanted to create a housing facility with a rent cap to prevent forced evictions, which means everyone who lives in the facility gets free services of job training, drug exchange programs, and counseling for mental and physical health. So to do this, we need funding from the government to get property. For this, we need approved federal grants from the House of Representatives and the Senate. And we also need pro bono services like volunteers willing to facilitate workshops and services. And we need donations and fundraisers, which means getting organizations and people to not only donate funds and resources, and we need volunteers to help clean up buildings and making applications more accessible to people who need housing. Next slide, please.
45 seconds.
Okay, so our test plan, we're gonna start on like a smaller scale first. And so we're just gonna test like a few homeless people, like maybe around 50. And we're gonna test the idea of housing vouchers or like rent caps to make sure that housing stays affordable to low income residents. And so we have some questions that we want to answer, like how will residents pay for their rent? And our plan is to have a rent cap. There's capped at 40% of their income or $500 a month. And we'll have job training services and public education campaigns so we can get like government support. And also we will convince the homeless people to stay there by giving them housing and services like food, like job help and mental health services.
Time's up.
And
So wrap it up, please. I'm sorry.
Next slide, please.
Thank you.
Oh, our budget got cut off. But Diamond, did you want to go over the budget?
What did our financial aid budget?
Okay, one of our slides got cut off,
Hello?
which was our test plan budget.
Yeah.
It wasn't copied on, but I can quickly read over it. I have it.
Okay.
But basically, our total budget would be $86 million, which consists of 4 apartment complexes, which will be $80 million, rehabilitation services, which is $2 million, food banks and donations, which is $0, extra income for food, clothes, and expenses, $2 million, social workers, $2 million, and volunteers, which would be $0. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And judges, now you have 8 minutes. Go ahead, you can divide however you like in that 8 minutes to ask any questions you have.
I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciated that. Can you talk a little bit about your outcomes or your metrics? How will you know that this is working? What would be either the indicators, the data? How will you know that your project is successful?
I would like to answer that. I think we would know that our project is working because one of the apartment complexes we planned on building would be specifically for homeless people who can't afford any rent right now, and then we'll transition them. It's like transitional housing into affordable housing, and we'll also provide vouchers and stuff for them.
And to add on, also, we have some questions like, out of each homeless person we admit, how many will secure jobs in the first 3 months? And also out of each person we admit, how many will leave, how many will stay? So we'll kind of look at the numbers of like how many people decide to actually stay, how many people do secure jobs, and we're gonna look at like how are the services working in the first like 3 to 6 months, like a kind of like a pilot.
Thank you, that was helpful. And particularly what I really appreciated right now was the response that was very specific regarding how many folks access services, how many folks will gain employment or are in the process of securing employment. I appreciated that, thank you. If I might ask another question with respect to the budget, can you talk a little bit more about the $86 million budget? How did you arrive at that number? And if you can give me just some big categories of how that 86 million would be spent.
And let me just note really quick, my sincere apologies for not getting that slide in. They have a really great budget that they put together. We'll make sure, judges, that you have access to see that when you get into the deliberations too.
We have a question here.
We have a question, Joanne and I do. May we ask the question?
Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. And it is regarding the budget, and perhaps this will be answered in the budget screen. But so just curious whether the 2.5% average rate of inflation is something to always be considered. And a lot of people don't think about that sometimes. We want to consider that in the budget so that it's an accurate budget. And perhaps it was considered. Because with rent control or no rent control, there's always around 2 to 2.5 average, inflation rate that we need to consider so that our participants in the program will have the housing they need with the dollar amount that they need, as well as the food costs, the mental health issues, and budgeting.
Sorry, so is your question how would we deal with inflation?
Yes. Have you considered the inflation rate?
Yeah, considered it. What we're saying, like, we know the cost will go up, but we're saying like we won't immediately like kick people out because they can't afford the rent. It won't be like, oh, since minimum wage is increasing or the taxes are increasing and you guys can't pay for it, we're not just going to kick you guys out. We'll figure out how to work things out, how to get you guys to pay the rent.
Right. I think that's terrific. My suggestion is perhaps including the 2.5% in your budget.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, they are about rough estimates. We left a little bit of money left over. Yes.
Terrific. Thank you. Great job.
By the way, I just wanted to add a little comment. I mean, this is really a hot topic, which, we all been talking about. We've been discussing about this issue in every level, and we haven't had really solid solutions. So the fact that you chose this topic, I have to really congratulate you. This is really, and it was great presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that point, because it is such a hot topic, can you talk a little bit about how you intend to leverage existing partners? So there are already a number of both nonprofit organizations as well as governmental entities that are working in this space. How would you leverage those existing providers to further support your goals?
I can try to answer this. So we have like some of the services that we provide, they're going to be partnerships with like these nonprofits and charity organizations. So like for food, we have a donation service that will collect donations from like grocery stores and restaurants, and then they'll bring it in, and then the residents can use their vouchers to get food affordably. And we're also going to partner with like nonprofits and like pro bono organizations to have like social workers to come in and help our residents get jobs and get counseling and things like that. And we also have workshops where we can invite people to do like helpful things.
Thank you.
Thank you. Janasha, how are we doing on time?
Yes, we had 2 minutes left, so I didn't give that warning at the end.
So we have 1 minute more. Any other comments for this team?
I do. Thank you. As you're exploring the execution and as you're exploring how to implement this program, what specific barriers do you expect to have to address? Like what things either do you think will go wrong, or what barriers do you expect? For example, are they political? Are they economic? Where do you see those barriers existing that might challenge your ability to implement the program?
We definitely have a lot of barriers. Number one, the money. It's a lot of money, so we want to get approved. And also just the homeless population itself. Like there's just so many issues that can account for why someone is homeless, like drug abuse, drug addiction. Who's going to say they want to get off the drugs? We'll have a lot of relapses. Not everyone will want to stay. Some people also, due to mental illness, they choose to be homeless due to the isolation. So it's kind of just like incorporating like everyone's needs and trying to get everyone to stay. And also just teaching independency and like, yes, they can stay in the housing, but our eventual goal is to let them kind of go onto their own and move them to another housing where they can start to, you know, get their own jobs by themselves, provide for themselves. So it's kind of just like, you know, we want to be there to help them, but we want to help them long term and not just, you know, we'll let them live here for a little bit and then they figure it out. So definitely like our long-term goals might be difficult to achieve, but we're definitely confident that we'll be able to reach a success point.
I would also like to add on to your answer. So, like some of the physical and economic barriers, we'd see is that like since housing prices are rising so much, like relatively, it might be hard for us to keep our rent prices low, just because of like economics. And so we'll definitely need a lot of like funding and grants for that. And also like some social barriers might be that like other residents in their neighborhood might not want to have like our housing, like because there's such a stigma against like homeless people and like low income residents that we might face a little bit of social fallback from there.
Thank you. Time's up.
All right, thank you so much, Team One. I want to really congratulate all of you. That was awesome and a perfect
Yes.
way to start this pitch day. So now we're going to move to Team Three, who's focused on a campaign for health in Guatemala and Mexico. So Team Three, if you want to take it away and unmute yourselves. See, do we have our members of Team Three?
Yes, hello, my name is Janeth, and I'll be attending UC Berkeley, and my intended major is biology.
My name is Sophia, and I'm going to Drexel University, and my major is film and television.
David, do we have you on?
Yeah, sorry. I'm having some complications with my computer. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is David, and I will be going to Boston University and studying computer science.
Next slide. Our problem statement is rural communities in countries like Guatemala and Mexico lack access to basic needs such as healthcare services, medical supplies, and sustained economic opportunities. Next slide. Some of the root causes we identified are poverty in these countries. So specifically the government that provide high cost of medical instruments and access to healthcare services. And there's also unequal distribution of wealth and resources. Next slide.
So the aim statement that we came up with was by the year of 2021, we will create an organization that will provide information to the public about health resources they have and ways they can stay healthy at home. So some of our first steps that we wanted to take was first identifying the communities in Mexico and Guatemala and the certain information that they need. Oh my gosh. And the second was identifying like clinics that are in those low income areas. And so from that, we would
1 minute.
we would help promote health services. And then for that, our change idea was doing an informational campaign in those areas. Next slide.
"35 seconds."
Do one of the team members want to just jump in? Team 3, David or Sophia, Jenna?
I was in it for 3 minutes too, but we can give more time if needed.
Yeah, can we get someone unmuted to finish out with the slide and the budget?
Okay, so for our plan, we wanted to focus on one rural community at first, and then our overall goal was to understand if providing information will actually improve the community's access to healthcare. So one of the questions that we asked is how, like, will the number of people or who are receiving healthcare increase? So a way that we were going to monitor that was the change in patients from the time before we did the informational campaign to the time after. And another one was how can we get community members involved? The reason why is that we felt if we got community members involved, the information is coming from like a trusted source or community partners, which will promote more people to go to the clinic, and we would monitor that in the same way. And to make sure that we have it's specifically coming from that place, it would be like through an anonymous survey once someone is leaving the clinic. So I feel like our budget really does depend on the first step of our program and like figuring out what area we want to service first. So I just put the printer down because I feel like that's the main thing you need when it comes to doing an informational campaign. But everything else would have to be, the budget would have to be somewhat flexible and be developed as we get further into the research.
Okay, team, are we ready to move to Q&A with the judges?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Questions.
So I'm gonna start with who has a first question for this team?
Hi, we have a question actually from California Bank and Trust.
So it's great that you've put the cost down for the printer. Our question is, how will you get the project funded in the different verticals that you need to handle?
There's always the possibility of crowdsourcing money, like doing something such as GoFundMe or looking for grants for like nonprofit starting organizations.
Okay, yeah, those grants are terrific. They do take time, so that's good that you're exploring that. Another idea is that you might get the community leaders involved, since you're kind of recruit them, right? As to be members involved in the test plan areas that you discussed. So perhaps getting the community leaders involved and their COIs or their centers of contact for donations or sponsorship, or maybe even having events where you can raise funds for your cause. Does that sounds like something you might want to include in your plan?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like that would also be very effective in like showing the community our dedication to them as well.
Right. And you might want to think about political leaders getting involved in, excuse me, in any of the mayor's activities and programs they've got going on there, because there is funding that taxpayers have paid for already a year or 2 years ago, and some bond funding that you can probably get some money for too as well by applying for those city grants and those city applications. So I want you to really think about that too. There's a lot of funding out there that's unused sometimes. So this is a great opportunity for that approach as well.
And not only that, by doing so, you have to create the attention to this, your costs. And so by getting involved with the local leaders and everyone, that would definitely get some attention for your cause and support.
I want to add on to what our other judges said, which were really good points, is with respect to the budget, it, in addition to identifying the costs, it's also important to identify the revenues, particularly in-kind support, because that's something that a lot of funders, particularly if you're interested in crowdsourcing or identifying potential grants, in addition to the costs, the funders will want to see what type of revenue do you have coming in, what type of support, financial support. So sometimes someone might not necessarily be able to say, here, I have $5,000 for you. But if you have this amazing accountant and they charge $1,000 an hour and they're willing to give you 10 hours, then you can always put that into your to your budget as $10,000 in-kind support. So on that note, recognizing that that this is an excellent opportunity to increase access to care. What are the metrics that you use? Like what metrics, what key performance indicators? How will you know that this initiative is doing what you intended it to do? How would you evaluate the initiative and say, yep, we've met the mark, or no, we didn't, but this is how we're going to make adjustments to it?
We have a team member who's ready to respond.
What I would say probably, I mentioned the survey as a way to get metrics, but a way that we could adjust to it is maybe like providing a card where they're able to like stamp it or something along that nature to see who's coming in and out to get clearer numbers instead of like a survey that anyone has access to.
Thank you.
You all have 3.5 more minutes for Q&A.
Just, do you have any other questions for this team? All right, I think hearing none, I want to move us along so that we make sure we have time for the next two teams. So if we can advance to the next slide, this is team 4. So team 4, are you all ready and queued up?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Excellent. Okay, I see a couple of you on here. Perfect.
So
thanks.
Yeah,
All right,
so-
go ahead.
So our organization is called In Stitches because we've been in stitches. Every member in our group has been in a sticky situation where being a low-income first-generation student of color is difficult. We've risen above this through education, and in doing so, cured ourselves with invisible stitches. Our organization was built on a solid foundation that inspires to help Black and Brown communities ensure they do not face the same struggles we did. Our mission is to help students access equitable healthcare and diversify the career field. And my name is Gabriela Trujillo. I will be attending UC Berkeley in the fall.
Hi, my name is Jose Daniel, and I will be attending UC Berkeley in the fall as well, and I'm studying psychology and pre-med.
Hello, my name is Darren. I'm going to UC Santa Cruz, and I'm majoring in biology.
Hi, my name is Maria. I'll be attending California State University East Bay, and my major is biology.
Next slide, please.
So our problem statement relates to low-income Black and Latinx communities that are up to 2 times more likely to be uninsured and often lack access to cultural affirmation medical care compared to white patients. Next slide, please. So for our fishbone diagram, we were sadly not able to finish it, but one problem, well, related to our problem statement, one quote unquote solution that we talked about or why this is happening is that many times these communities are also considered low income, meaning that it's unaffordable for many people of color. Next slide, please.
Our aim statement is we want to decrease the gap of uninsured medical care by 5% within Black and Latinx communities in comparison to white communities and increase the access to healthcare within a year. Our first step will be to hire and
1
promote
minute.
and higher positions in the healthcare workforce. Second step will be having active workshops towards the younger age groups, such as high school students, and conduct a feedback survey. Next slide, please.
So this is a breakdown of our plan. So the title of our test would be Let's Talk About Healthcare, to try to engage students. It would be mostly directed to high school students. And the main goal of this would be to educate students on healthcare benefits, mental health resources, and ultimately expose students to different career fields within healthcare. So 3 of the questions that we came up were centered around wanting to understand why this is a problem and really understand the issue that a lot of these students are facing. So the first question is, why are Black and brown students in Oakland not getting the medical care they need? A lot of them don't have access to that sort of information. And sometimes mental health can be a taboo subject to talk about within certain cultures. We would love to conduct a lot of surveys to really understand where these kids are coming from and conduct post surveys to really see how much they've grown through the process. And a lot of peer guided workshops to really understand their stories and why they aren't getting the resources they need. So after our study, we would see that there's obviously a correlation between, is time up?
Yeah.
It is. Just finish out what you were saying.
But yeah, finish.
Okay. Well, in our study, we would like to see that there is, we can move to the test, the second part, the budgeting part.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I guess one of our team members isn't here, but really fast. Basically, our budget would consist of $600. As you could see, we have a breakdown right there. Many of the supplies we would get comes from Dollar Tree. Obviously, it's more than $1 because we would get more than 1 supplies per thing. And then quickly, can we go to the next slide? Really fast. And then this, so some people that we will need on our team are guest speakers, medical professionals, local youth, educational advocates. So people who will run organizations or programs that help youth in learning about the medical field, and more students who identify as people of color. We would also need surveys to measure the knowledge students have on the medical related fields. So before and after we go in and talk about different medical fields and any medical terminology, just to test out if our whole plan worked, basically. So through our surveys, we would measure our success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, judges, thank you so much, everyone. Judges, do you have questions for Team 4 in Stitches?
Fantastic. That was very, very informative. I have a quick question regarding the budget. For that $600, approximately how many students would that be able to support?
Approximately 15 to 20 students. Yeah.
15, 20, and for what period of time?
Well, we realized that our budget for that one was pretty simplified. That would probably be like 1 session, and we were tempted to do it once a week for like a month and a half. So obviously we'd have to multiply 600 times the amount of times we'd actually conduct a workshop for the students. So it would be much higher. Yeah.
Okay, yes, it's about 2,400 for the month, right? And then you're looking at a little bit more, right? For a month and a half. You always want to aim high on your budget because there's always things that come up that you don't anticipate. So that's a little bit of advice coming from on the banking and finance standpoint. Okay. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Agreed. Excellent presentation. I can tell that the team really worked together, was very thoughtful. Agree with the feedback with respect to the budget is building in a little bit more space. Certainly in most, particularly in grants, there's something called administrative overhead. And so typically you would draft your budget with that in mind, and then 15% of your direct costs, you can then do admin overhead. So that would be like where you can pay for additional pens, papers, someone's time, etc. I really wanted to get your feedback around the concept of increased access to care, particularly in Black and Latinx communities. And certainly there's a lot of data that supports your concept around, being in an underserved community. How do you think that COVID has impacted this? Has it exacerbated? Has it made the situation worse? Yes.
Yeah, so I could answer this. So when it comes to many people of color, since we do, well, personally speaking as a person of color and speaking from like coming from a low income community and a public school, I think many of the times we lack the resources and the knowledge needed to understand what COVID is, medical terminology, what a doctor does, the different types of doctors, all these different aspects play a huge role in understanding that simple little COVID that we know as just a disease that is spreading around or a pandemic. You know, all of these things really affect students, and it affects even teenagers and grown-ups who come from low income communities and who are people of color. You know, I think one of the solutions we could have added was definitely contacting council members and having a higher funding for public schools, because then, you know, knowledge is power, and having those resources from a young age and coming from a public high school could really help and really impact students understand what COVID is in general. So I think for sure with a pandemic, it's made it kind of worse, because not only are we doing online learning, which is, you know, a problem on its own, but students really aren't understanding what it is, and because we come from these underfunded schools and these underfunded communities.
Thank you, Daniel. You know what I really appreciated about your response right now is that you were able to think on your feet, and that you were able to say, perhaps in the future, or something like we could have done differently, or something we could have added. So I really appreciate that, because when it comes to making pitches, and we do this all the time, like in our professional lives, we do this all the time, where we are, sometimes they're formal pitches like this, sometimes they're formal. But what people really appreciate is the ability to not just do a formal presentation, but the ability to engage and see your passion, as well as on the fly, as they're giving you feedback, for you to be able to say, thank you for that feedback. I'm going to take half of what you said, or I'm going to take all of it, or I'm not going to take any of it, but this is why. And so I really appreciate your response.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Definitely. So with that in mind, going back to the concept of, being in a public school, being from underrepresented communities, as schools being underfunded, where do you think is the nexus? Like, what do you think is that relationship between physicians and physician communities and schools, and then recognizing that young people, particularly of a certain age, may not have the same access to information as their parents do. On the other hand, they could just be as great, if not more, at risk in terms of COVID or any other public health challenge. How would you address that?
That's a really good question. Sorry, I need a few moments to think. Can you maybe try to restate your question? Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Can you be just a little more clarifying? Just a little more, please.
Definitely. And I appreciate, Gabriela, that you asked as well. I think that's great. So, back to, how would you target young adults or young people? How would you target them specifically as you're thinking about your message and as you're thinking about your project? What would you do specifically?
So yeah, for sure, if it's okay, I would like to answer this question as well. We also, sorry, I keep going back to solutions that we would have included. Another solution that I really wanted to talk about, but I obviously couldn't because of time, was that we were going to have not weekly, but monthly town hall meetings where people within the medical field could come and speak to younger people, or come to schools and educate them on the things that they do, or have student fairs where students could come and walk up to a doctor and shake their hand, and obviously not today because of the pandemic, but future references, shake their hand and get to know them and really get to know not only the person, but their work and the different types of fields or like alternative fields or, the studying that they did within college. Because obviously they don't just become doctors right on the spot. So yeah, getting all that information by one-on-one meetings and town hall meetings and student fairs, I think would be really great. I mean, now we could, speaking on the pandemic, we could probably do Zoom meetings like that. So yeah, I guess if that answered your question.
It does. Thank you, Daniel.
I wanted
Thank
to
you.
add something to that. I just wanted to say that we would engage, leaders within our community to really rally up the students and get them interested and motivated and like wanting to learn more. So for sure, we would focus a lot on guest speakers because I feel like firsthand experiences tend to connect a lot more with students and stories are relayed more better in that way. Yeah.
Gabriela, you bring up a super good point, and I can tell that your team is very creative because you're able to like respond immediately and engage in that conversation. So my recommendation to you would be like, don't negotiate with yourself. So if you have all of these amazing ideas, bring them all out, put them all on the proposal, because when you're pitching, whether it's to a corporate entity or you're pitching to government, the idea is to pitch them on the vision, like what is the thing that you want to fix or address. And then it's almost like a buffet, like give them options on the menu, and they might like, they might like the rice here, and they might like, the tortillas over here. They might like one idea, but not the other, but give them many ideas so that they can come back and say, I love some of these, not these, but I might be able to fund you here. I think you all are very creative, and I just want to make sure to appreciate you both as well as the rest of your team.
Awesome, Lupe. That is
Thank
such great
you.
feedback, and team 4, excellent job. I do want to move us right along because we just have a few minutes left on for this portion, and we do have one more team to go through. So without further ado, I want to move to team 5. And so team 5, are you all ready to go?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So go ahead and get started.
Hi, so we are Team 5, and our team is named Fantastinco. And today our goal is to increase STEM company involvement with low-income students of color in Oakland. People of color are underrepresented in high salary positions in STEM industry despite years of companies publicly committing to diversity. Our team, which was coached by Eric Young, consists of 7 student members: Elijah, who's our techie; America, who's our facilitator; Asila and Andrew, who's our storytellers; Tajane, who's our financer; Kathy, who is our all-around help; and me, Annette, who is our documentarian.
According to a report released by Level the Playing Field Institute in 2014, out of 69% of unrepresented students of color in OUSD, only 0.08% of those students were enrolled in computer science courses. That means that out of 1,250 students, only one of them would be in a computer science course. This is not only an issue in Oakland, but throughout the country. Next slide, please. Our problem statement: people of color are unrepresented in high salary positions in STEM industries despite years of companies publicly committing to diversity. Next slide.
So what is the solution to this issue? We propose the idea of providing computers. With these computers, the schools would be more comfortable in inviting STEM companies that are willing to hold virtual fairs or classes. Next slide, please.
Our goal is to increase the amount of STEM courses for low-income middle and high school classes by 50% in Oakland by the end of August 2021. Next slide.
The main goal of these classes are to teach the basics of coding via free open browser-based programs such as Scratch, CodeHS, and Code.org. A school-purpose Chromebook would cost around $200. Raspberry Pi kits, which are another type of computer, would at most cost $150. Next slide, please.
Onto our predictions. In 2017, a surge of students in Oakland were interested in computer science due to the partnerships with companies such as Code.org and Intel. AP Computer Science rose to the 5th most in-demand class and 3rd in racial diversity. We saw an increase in AP scores throughout the district. We predict that with even more funding and involvement of other tech corporations, the increase will be even greater. Through a partnership between schools and tech companies, we will see a rise in both demand and interest in these companies, allowing them to have a foot in the Bay Area. Next slide, please.
In conclusion, with additional funding to low-income Oakland schools, these schools would be able to partner with tech companies. As a result, low-income students of color would be more comfortable in seeking a future career in STEM fields, leading to an increase in racial diversity in the workplace. Next slide. Thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us.
All right, judges, do you have questions? And if everyone doesn't mind, we are going to go until about 3:07, 3:08 before we move to judge deliberations.
Can you talk a little bit more about your budget and how you came up with your budget?
Well, oh, sorry.
You can go.
Well,
you go first.
Okay. Well, I previously have some computer science knowledge because I'm actually part of another program called the Hidden Genius Project, which teaches Black male youth on technology creation and entrepreneurship skills. So with that in mind, I was basically the lesson plan itself would be free since I already have like some know-how on to do that, especially working with Scratch and Code AHS because I worked with them both previously in my life. So writing those down, those would be free, of course, and plus with Scratch, with being a browser-based thing, all you need to do is make an account on there. So that's already off top free. But the only thing that when we realized the only thing that we need to purchase will be the Chromebooks. That was a simple matter. I was just finding the cheapest ones, like just basically the ones that you would find at an ordinary school, right? And then just figuring out how many would be would we get to have like a fairly decent sized classroom. And that I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciated the specific information that you presented. I think that is, so if I might give you some feedback on your presentation, I love the visuals. I love the teamwork that was presented. I could see that everyone played a role in it, but the visuals are very appealing, as was the data. And that's something that's super important, particularly in political policy settings. It's both the anecdotes. So what are those stories? What are people experiencing? And then the data as well, since some people will appreciate the data and other people will appreciate the story. So I really like how you connected both. You did a really good job of that.
Piggybacking on that, I really enjoyed your presentation as well. It was very clear and well stated intro. Thank you so much for that. Can you actually go over how you came up with that, how you're going to raise the funding that you need for initial testing?
We'll mostly get money from donations or grants. And we can also get donated computers as well if that doesn't really supply our classroom setting as well as we wanted to. And we can also have volunteers.
Oh, also, can I add on to that? So I have this story about how Intel has partnered up with my school. So we want to have more partners with schools in general from big companies, so we can create somewhat of a pipeline into these companies from these lower income schools. So we want to partner up with these companies so these companies can fund us, and in a way they are investing in us. So in the future we can go straight into their company. Intel for Oakland Tech has an internship, and from there we start learning about what it is like working in the workforce. And then from there they can invest in us, and in the future when we graduate college and study the majors that they want us to, STEM majors, computer science, electrical engineering, all that stuff, we can go straight into their workforce. And they also have prior experience with us, and so that's very building up the trust. Yeah, thank you.
And to add on to that, it just shows that we aren't really working blindly with these corporations. We are building upon those pre-established connections and networks and making them stronger so that they are really willing to invest in our plan.
Great.
Go ahead. So,
Okay. Hi, this is Mona at CB&T. I first of all, oh my gosh, I loved your presentation. I love the slides. I like how it was a diverse presentation as far as representation of the different areas that you were covering. And I love your idea of working with companies. I'm a big proponent of internships. May I make a suggestion and a recommendation? And this will cover both your internships as well as gaining computers that are in excellent working. So a lot of this high schools have computers that they renovate, they turn over every 2 years. And most of these high schools are in more affluent areas. They have the funding to buy new computers. What do they do with those computers that they're turning over? They're still an excellent use. So I would make a connection with all the unified school districts, Alameda County, San Ramon Valley County, Castro Valley, San Francisco, etc., and get a contact there, because then they can they write off the donation on their taxes. Okay, so you can get wonderful computers for your organization. Another thing why you want to connect with the school districts and the college districts, excuse me. So all of the universities that you're going to, I applaud you for being diplomats to go right to the recruiting office and the internship office and be a representative for your organization and sit at the tables at the internships and at the display tables on your campus and promote your idea to gain internships with these large computer companies and even some of the new startup companies. They're willing to do internships then they won't pay you, but you'll get an internship there. And when you graduate, you can take that internship experience, put it on your resume, either work for that company or other companies. So this is everything I'm talking about costs $0, and it's a wealth of information and will really support your organization and you as individuals and professionals.
Thank you so much for that advice.
Thank you.
Excellent. Do we have any other questions from the judges?
None for me.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Lupe.
Oh, I said none for me.
None for me. Okay. All right. Then I think we're at 3:06. I want to just recognize everyone's time right now and make sure that our judges have time for their deliberations. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to be moving the judges to a breakout room for your deliberations. And at 4 o'clock, we'll be coming back for the winning team announcement and also some reflections and a few other announcements for our scholars. So for everyone, Courtney, do we have you on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Do we have something we are showing everyone, or would we like to have everyone just take a break?
We'd like to have everyone take a break.
Okay, excellent. So we'll see everyone back at 4 o'clock. I'm gonna, let's see if I can do this. We're gonna see if we can have the judges stay on here for their deliberations, and we'll go from there. Okay. We had a really good judge deliberation session. I know everyone got a little break, which was nice. And what I'd like to do now is I would like to ask the students, our scholars, if you would like to share, if there's anyone here who would like to share reflection, thoughts, how was this experience for you? I know this was pretty intensive, certainly in our process of transforming a day-long in-person event into a virtual one. We had a lot of hopes and aspirations, and I hope that they were met for you all. It certainly was an unprecedented way to kind of intro you to all of us and Marcus Foster, but also get you reset and thinking as you move into the next year. So any students, if you would like to go ahead and unmute yourself.
can go first. So hi everybody, I'm Kathy. I think I really enjoyed hearing people speak really passionately about the issue that they presented. And it was really interesting to work with the other folks that are Marcus Foster scholars to work on a plan, even though it might not happen in the future. It was a really insightful experience to know what taking action actually looks like and breaking down that process. So thank you for this experience.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else? Any other students who would like to share their reflection on yesterday, this whole process?
Go. Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone at Marcus Foster and all the volunteers and staff. Yesterday it was like really hectic because we just learned so much and it was really hard to put everything together overnight. But like I think my group formed a really close bond with each other, even though we like just met each other yesterday. Yeah, and I think we really worked great as a team. It was wonderful meeting everyone here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette. Anyone else?
Team 4.
I definitely, sorry. This is Elijah. Definitely would like to thank Marcus Foster Education Institute for putting together this reset event. Got me to, wake up my brain a little bit. And just definitely like just practicing how to set up a pitch and just talking about social change and why, what we do matters and that sort of thing. So definitely big thanks to that. And shout out to Fantastico, yeah.
Awesome, Elijah. Thank you so much. All right, one more. Any other students would like to share your thoughts on the event, this experience with Reset? Okay, and staff, can I just give you also a chance? Do you have anything you would like to share about your experience or any reflection you have before I turn it over to the judges?
Yes, hi everybody. I just definitely love seeing everyone being thrown into this experience. It's always really, really amazing, especially when you come in with the impression of it being a scholarship program. And we're very different when it comes to that. So it's always really amazing to see you all group and network and learn from each other as well as other adults and just really have great ideas. So yes, amazing work, and I'm really, really proud of you all. Oh, and then before I transition to someone else, I do want to note that I did include the evaluation forms into the comments box. So there's a different link for students, and then there's also a different one for judges and coaches. So when you all have a moment, please feel free to provide us with feedback because we definitely review that information so that we're always continuously improving the experience that we offer you all here today, as well as for future students as well. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janasha. I really appreciate it. So in moving forward, I just also want to share that I'm really grateful to everybody for this, for your participation and everything that you brought to the event. The students in particular, this was definitely something new and probably unexpected. And we were just so amazed by how you showed up and really took the lead in moving forward with this, even when there were lots of unknowns for you. And so really appreciate everyone and appreciate you all for jumping in. And so now I would like to turn it over to the judges. If you would like to share your reflections, what I think I'm going to see if I can do is spotlight your videos for each of you when you're speaking, and then feel free to share your reflections overall, any thoughts you have about each team, and then when you're ready to share the announcement of the winning team.
I can go first. Okay. This is Joanne Park from California Bank and Trust. This is my first time being really getting involved with this organization. And I vaguely came in thinking that, I just wanted to kind of get motivated. I've been working for quite some time, and, this is my chance to actually get to see how young minds work. And I just came in just thinking that I'm going to enjoy this time, and it was an opportunity for me to kind of connect with our local, students. Actually, I got a lot more than that. I really enjoyed, and I didn't know that this team was actually put together, and mostly with, students that they're, I thought that this was just a group of, friends actually, and put this presentation together. So I'm more impressed with the amount of time that you had and put this presentation together. I thought that, all the teams were really clear with, what your ideas are, and, how you wanted to accomplish. And so I wanted to say thank you for this opportunity, and congratulations to all of you for even participating in this.
Thank you. And I'll go next. We have elected Ruma to provide the winning touches, if you will. Also very similar to Joanne, so inspired by all of you, and not just the ideas, but more importantly, your passion, your commitment, the grit. And so, and I'm sure as scholars, you probably hear this all the time, which is that our future depends on you. And I feel like we're in such a good place if our future depends on you. I think that you all displayed a lot of compassion, a lot for each other. You also just displayed a lot of passion for the ideas. Team one really appreciated how you thought big. Like you dreamed big and you went big, and your budget reflected that. It was 86 million. Really appreciate. I think as a team, when I say we, as a team of judges, we really appreciated that. Team two, we appreciated your commitment. We appreciated that even though there might have been, a bit of technical challenges, you still proceeded, you still went through. And that's a sign of professionalism. And that is so important. You might have been sweating in the background, but it didn't show. Team four really appreciated, as we were reflecting with the judges, appreciated in your ability to be flexible, your ability to on the fly be able to say, oh, we have another idea that we didn't introduce here, and this is what we would do. So we appreciated that. And team five, we appreciated the visualization, we appreciated the clearly the thought and the effort that went into the data that you presented, the anecdotes, and how your presentation flowed. So again, if the future depends on you as scholars, we are in a very good place. So with that, I think
okay, we are so excited. My goodness. Before I announce, as I represent the judges, the winner of the event today, I would just like to make a few statements. And I'm in agreement with every one of my colleagues here as judges and everything that they said. The winner, the reasons for the winner that we chose today were based on the following. We took a look at all the 4 categories as well as some other articles that we were considering. In order to be successful in life, there's a couple things you need to make a project, take a project from the beginning to an end. The first quality that we felt that was really important is that you have to have passion. Passion for your idea, passion for the visual that you can see, you can actually see what you want to create, passion for each other, to build a strong team and believe in each other, and to respect one another's, each of your contribution and the talent you bring to the table. This all together, and along with being able to pivot, being able to move with change. So if one of the spokes in your wheel changes the direction than what you thought it would be, it could be an obstacle, it could be a great opportunity that this team was able to do that and was able to maneuver so that all the spokes were tied closely together so that the wheel will turn. With all this being said, each team did a magnificent job. I mean, I am just so proud to be a part of this and I applaud you all for doing this so on the fly. And you are a great representation and role models for our future. with all the characteristics that I just mentioned, those all build a strong foundation. So you have to have a foundation in order to build the house. The house is the plan. With all that being said, we felt that the team that had the strongest foundation to move forward in all these categories. Are we ready? Let's have a drum roll. The winner of the Reset Pivot is Team 4.
Yeah, I want to just like, yeah, please, everyone is off of mute.
Congratulations,
That
each
is
team
so
member and all
awesome.
of you who participated in all the teams.
Excellent. We are so excited to get this announcement. Thank you so much to our judges. Thank you so much to Lupe, Muna, Joanne. Amazing. Congratulations, Team 4. We'll be in contact with you for your winning prize, those Amazon gift cards. And everyone, you all did an amazing job. And I just also want to say that if anyone has any thoughts about considering actually implementing this project, if you would like to, you know, either the exact version of what you put together, a version of it, you are thinking, you know what, I have a lot of stuff going on, but we really want to see this through, or maybe we want to come back in next summer and try this out, you know, contact me. Let our MFEI team know. Lupe, as she mentioned, has some funding, possibly through Physicians for Healthy California, you know, so whether you want or not, if you are passionate about this and you really think you want to do something with it, let us know. If you have passions about another idea, another project you're working with, and you need some resources or want to think through how to get some resources with that, I would love to encourage you all to just hit us up, let us know if you have what your ideas are, and we'll see what we can do in connecting you. So with that, I think I really want to, you know, thank everyone again. I see a note from Darren who says that who's part of Team 4. Aside from being busy at this moment, on behalf of the team, thank you all for this opportunity and having the experience this reset with many of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Darren. And so with that, I want to close this out just a few minutes early. Thank everyone. Scholars will be in touch with you about kind of the next steps on your scholarship in the coming weeks. And yeah, great job, everyone. And thank you again. Okay. Take care. Have an amazing afternoon.